Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Well, not really my shop, this is a friend of a friend's shop. I wanted to get a quick video out, kind of a follow-up on the Harvey MG-36. I'm sure you've probably all seen the other review that was done on this miter gauge, as well as some various follow-ups. But I did a review on this gauge some time ago, and I stick by that review. But this friend of a friend that owns this shop recently got this new Harvey table saw and was gracious enough to make it available to me to come in here and shoot an update to that MG-36 review that I did, as well as kind of maybe give you a quick peek at the new Harvey table saw. And but mainly this is for the MG-36, and a huge shout out to Michael for opening his shop to me and giving me access to come in and shoot this. If the lighting is off or the sound is off or anything along those lines as we go through this, my apologies. This review, the bad review on this came out after I had left for work, so I'm on borrowed gear to pull this off and get this edited out and get it out there for you guys. So I'm going to move the camera around and we're going to zoom in on this MG-36, which just showed up in the last week to his shop, and we'll see if some of those issues are on this miter gauge. I can tell you up front they're not, but we're going to take a closer up look of it, because some of the comments that I got and feedback was, they wish that they'd have gotten closer views of this miter gauge. But those comments all came after the negative review came out. So I'm going to zip this around here and we're going to have a good closer look at this miter gauge. Okay, so by now we all know, it was Mark Spagnuolo, or the Wood Whisperer, that did the review on this, and typically he does awesome reviews, and I think he really got a bum gauge on this one. And the first thing he brought up was this gap right down here, and his gap was significantly more than this one is. But I don't see where this one is difficult to read or function. And I've checked it for square and it's dead on, and we can move it around and then drop it back into 0, and we'll tighten it back down and we'll check square again. Okay, so this particular sled had just a little bit of slop in it. It wasn't bad, and I hadn't used this miter, the gauge with the newer style miter bar. The dial indicators are on here, and just small turns on here, and really dialed this gauge in dead solid, and it still slides super smooth, and we are still just dead on accurate. So it does make a difference if this knob is locked in or not locked in. So if I unlock that, then I can get a little bit of flex and I can get a gap in there. But as soon as I tighten that knob up and it seats where it's supposed to be, that gap goes away. So that's not really an issue. I really do believe that Mark's whole issue was with the placement of this on here. So the gap in the back of this, I have a feeler gauge at 32 thousandths, and it fits really nice. Now it doesn't drop in further than that because of the attachment pin, but that's a good snug fit in there. And I certainly don't have any issues lining up the arrow with the marks to get whatever angle it is that I need. All right, so there's the miter gauge all set up. There's no slop in it. It is just dead on square. I'm not gonna beat his miter gauge on the floor, like Mark did. Like I said, this particular gap is at 32 thousandths, so I have no issues with that or reading the gauge. And I stand by my original review. This is an outstanding miter gauge. Even with the newer bar, mine had the older bar, This was quick and easy to adjust. Fortunately, the owner of this shop was kind enough not to make any adjustments to this or anything before I showed up, and let me do it all. And they were all quick and simple to adjust. I was less than 5 minutes to have this dialed in and functioning smoothly, and up and running. But I also want to show you some other cool features in this shop, like maybe this 2 horsepower Harvey table saw, which I'm pretty intrigued by. And I'm going to give you a cool view of a really neat looking bench that I really like as well. So apologies for the camera angle. This is a little bit of a smaller shop, but this is the Harvey 2 horsepower Alpha. And to equate it to my woodworking experience, this is in some ways very much similar to my Grizzly 715P, but this is seriously upgraded. The fence on it is every bit as nice as my Powermatic, and it's every bit as nice as any saw stop I've used. And the dust collection on it seems to work fairly well, even with a smaller dust collector in the shop. And you can see he's running all corrugated hose to it. There's very little dust in the bottom. Now, he hasn't made a lot of cuts with it, but he's made enough where I would expect to see more dust if the dust collection was off. All right, guys, so here's Michael's bench. This is a really cool bench. It's made out of all white oak. It's got Purple Heart here on the front. It's got a quick release vise down there on the end that I think is just awesome, and his dog holes are in here. He still has some upgrades that he wants to do. He's going to put a little Veritas tail vise in it. But what a fantastic bench. Coming into a small shop like this, I didn't really expect to see a bench of this quality when I walked in, and was very pleasantly surprised. What a fantastic bench. He built it himself. I believe he built it with his dad. Just what a marvelous bench. This is super cool and would be a nice addition to anybody's shop. So there you go, guys. Just kind of, this video is more about a follow-up review of the Harvey MG-36, and I very much stand by my original view. I'm a little bit disappointed that Mark got kind of a bum one to do a review on, but that's what he got. And I've never known Mark to do a review willy-nilly, just offhand, and trash somebody without good reason. But in this case, it was more around, I think, their customer service. Harvey certainly should have shipped him a new miter gauge. So if you see that big gap in the back, know that you're going to have those issues, and contact Harvey and have them replace the miter gauge, because that will certainly be an issue. Huge shout out and thank you to Michael for opening his shop and allowing me to put my hands on this new table saw for my first experience with Harvey, hopefully not my last. And to my good friend out at the plant, Daniel, who brought me out here and made all this happen for me. This was truly a pleasurable trip, even though I'm here for work. I should be here for about a month or so, and then we'll be right back to the woodworking stuff. But I still got plenty of videos in the can for you, so there's plenty of content coming. So until next time, guys, take care.